Hi, Kit Words with you, Flower Duet. We're going to make a winter white arrangement with silver accents. First we need to prepare our container, and we're using a really nice tall ceramic cylinder in white. And what I've done is I've prepared a roll of chicken wire. If you could see that in front of the container. So I made it into a cylinder, but I'm not putting it in like that. I'm going to put it in this way, so that I'm going to have a top hole and a bottom hole when I place it in. I'm going to put the seam on the side of the container. So I'm not pushing it all the way down. And then I'm going to pour my water in. I'm not going to tape it. I don't need tape. The stems are going to kind of help themselves in place. Hold themselves in place. Malaprop today. Let's see, where are my cutters? Do I have cutters? Oh, I need to get some cutters. I'll be right back. Got my cutters. This is going to be a very quick design, and the other cool thing about this design is, again, I got all of the flowers at Trader Joe's. We're in January. This is winter white with a little touch of silver in the roses. Very simple to do. This is very much like what a florist would make in the flower shop, and it's amazing how quickly it can go together. So what we want to do is we have our decorative cabbage, and we want to clean that off a little bit, the bottom parts. And then we're going to reflex the leaves to make them bigger. If there's any that are broken, I'm going to pull those off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull them slightly down and push them out. And you can see I'm going to start to make, oh, I broke that one. So be gentle. I'm going to start to make this look a little bit bigger, fluffier, more open. So you can almost double the width of your ornamental cabbage by reflexing all the leaves. Some of them are already kind of naturally reflexed because that's what they do when they hit the water. They've been in water. You can see now that is almost double. This one's a little bit unruly, so that's a really pretty white, huge flower. So again, I'm going to pull these bottom ones off, and anything that's broken, like this one, see how it's kind of broken? Not going to use that. So even though these all look kind of the same size, like once you reflex them out, they're going to be slightly different. That's okay. These are going to be our main sort of anchor part of our design. I'm not going to use any greenery in this design. It's just going to be flowers and the cabbage. And then we have our final one. I'm also removing those bottom leaves because they're more on the green side, and I really want this to be mostly white. So, because it's winter, reflecting winter. And ornamental cabbage is something, it is a winter crop or cabbage, as you know, and lettuce are winter crops. So this is appropriate for the season. And I love the white. The white is really pretty. I see more of the green in the fall, but this one's really pretty. It even reflects the little part in the middle gently. You don't want to rip it, because once you rip it, it's not coming back. Okay, so we have our container already prepared. Just clean this up a little. And what we're going to do is we're going to put these into the container like so, like in a cross. So you can see how it's going to be like a triangle once they're in the container. Remember, stems seal up in 10 seconds. So you want to cut at an angle, and you want to place it through the top, one of the top of those chicken wire holes or poultry netting holes until you have it resting right on the lip of the vase. And then if you don't know how high to cut it, kind of hold it next to the vase. You want it to be a little longer than the height of the vase because you're going to go across. So you need a little bit more length. So that one I need to pull out and cut again. This one I'm only actually getting into a bottom hole, but that's okay because I'm doing my triangle. So I have my two cabbage so far, like so. Now I need another one coming out at me. So again, I'm going to measure by holding it onto the table, looking in so I can see that I'm going across and getting it into a top and a bottom hole. It's too long, pulling it out, cutting it, and replacing it into that same area, and make sure that I have it resting on the head. Now that I have that done, I'm going to pull out that first one. I think I want to cut that one just slightly shorter so that it's resting a little bit more on the lip. There we go. So I want all these to be approximately the same height. This one's a little bit, I can just make that more of an angle to get that the same height. So I can turn it around and see, or I can look like this and see that it's the same height. So our other two players, we have some beautiful garden roses. I got these again. I got these at Trader Joe's. And the color they are is this super, super pale, I'd say lavender almost. It's called Westminster Abbey. They haven't opened yet, but you can see that the contrast between this green and white, slightly a silvery, grayish, really light lavender color. When I was checking out at Trader Joe's this morning, the ladies who were helping me were just like, wow, these are beautiful. I was like, yes, they are. So even though I got these at Trader Joe's, there's some cushion petals I need to remove. And as always, we're going to take those leaves off, and I'm going to take all those rose thorns off, because this is going, into my design, and I want to make sure they're all clean. So I'm going to do all that, and then I'll come back and show you how to put them in. I've cleaned out my roses, and you can see, if you're watching my fast forward, you can see that I took a lot of cushion petals off. And so if I want them to open up a little bit faster, I can coax them open by blowing on the center a little bit, or slightly zhuzhing them. But sometimes if you do that and they're not ready, you'll have petals fly. So you just got to be really careful. I wouldn't try reflexing these like we did. I would just let them open up naturally. See, there's a lot of petals that are going to be in there that will open up. So let's see how many we got in our bunch today from Trader Joe's. I'm going to guess maybe 11. So it's 3, 6, 9, 10. They gave us 10. So not quite a dozen. But it was a pretty good price. I think it was $8.99, which is not bad, because that's less than $1 a stem. So I only have, let's see, I have 10. So I'm going to put 3 in between each cabbage in a triangle. I'm going to put that 10th one aside. So I'm going to, again, kind of measure by holding the rose on the table, but I want it to be longer than the vase is tall, because I'm going to go across, cut in place, because stems seal up, and I'm going to just kind of give it an angle. So that's too far out. So I'm going to bring it back in, cut a little bit off, and replace it, and see how that looks. Still think it's a little far out. Just cut it again, and then see where I am on that. So now I'm going to do another one right next to that one. And then one right above it. Like so. And then I'm going to do that 2 more times. And do that in between these other cabbage. Like so. And then again between the other 2. So it's pretty much like a math problem here. You're just filling in the blanks. We started with the 3 cabbage, then we're doing 3 sets of 3 roses in between those 3 cabbage. This is a pretty much just pretty standard florist design. This one's a little, let's see if I can get this one in. You know, considering there aren't that many stems in here, because those cabbage stems are really thick, it's already getting a little crowded. The chicken wire also helps, you know, keep everything in place, but it also takes up some room. So this one, I want it to be a little more upright. Then I have that last one that I want to have it kind of poking out the top if I can, like so. So with the chicken wire and all the other stems, when I push it straight in the top, it stays. I don't, no floral foam in here, it's just staying like so. So now the last flower I have is these cute little white spray carnations. And the reason why I love them is because there's so much going on, one stem. So what we can do is we can break one stem into 2 and then mass them together and place them in. And that's going to give us some nice silvery gray. We're going to have the white flowers, but we're also going to have some silvery gray stems, which I find, you know, silvery, silver color that goes with your winter designs kind of mimics the silveriness of the trees and ice that might be out there. Or the dews, if you're in Southern California, the silver of the dewy mornings on the front lawn, or your ornamentals out front. So we're going to poke some again in the same spots. So I'm taking the one stem like this, and I'm cutting it right in the middle to make 2, peeling off any greenery that's going to be below that vase waterline, and placing them in kind of right next to where I placed those roses. Kind of giving the roses a buddy with the white carnations, like so. And I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep going through my design and adding carnations next to the roses where I don't have as much white accent, maybe on either side of the roses, one on one side, one on the other, and then of course filling in the middle. So I'm going to keep doing that, and then I'll speed it up so you can see. So here I have it on 2 sides. So I'm going to keep going through, speed that up so you can see when I'm finished. Okay, so I'm just been turning it around and zhuzhing things a little bit. Some of my roses fell down a little bit. So now what I'm doing is I'm looking to try to make balance. I have a little bit of carnations kind of sticking out here. So I think I want to have one maybe coming up through the middle that's a little higher to counteract that. This isn't really necessarily a roundy-moundy design. It's a kind of what we call a hybrid, a roundy-moundy and a sticky-outy. So it is rounded, but there's some elements that poke through, and that's to give it just a little more texture so it's not so boring. I tend to think that sometimes roundy-moundy designs are not very interesting. So it's nice to create a little bit of interest. So what we really want to look for at this point is making sure that I don't see any of that chicken wire. So I'm looking, turning it around, and I know that the roses and some of the spray carns are gonna open up, but I can see in the middle, if I look straight down, there's a little bit showing. So I'm gonna take some of these carnations that are short, and I'm gonna push them way down into that, making sure, of course, the flowers stay above the water, but when they go down in there, they will hide that chicken wire and create a little bit more of a layer of florals. So you don't see the chicken wire, and all you see is the white, which is what we want. And remember, with little spray carns, you can pet them open like a kitten to get them to be a little fluffier, because that's what we want to cover up our architecture, which is the chicken wire. But I'm not too worried about it, because I know in a day or two these roses are going to pop open, as are the spray carnations. So let me just clean up, and then we can look at it from a distance and see how I did. Okay, it's always a good idea to step away, because I did step away and I thought, it does need a little greenery. So I added some silvery eucalyptus. I'm staying in my silver theme, so it matches the greenery that's on the carnations. And I wanted to add a little bit more whimsy. And so, I've got all this sort of going on. So I want to, I can lift up my original cabbage and slide in the greenery underneath. If I can find an open spot. Remember, I said it was getting crowded in there. See if I can find a spot. There we go. The thing I like about eucalyptus is if it's too long, you can give it a little haircut, so you don't have to keep it that length all around. Just give it little accents. And then I think I need have some coming out up here next to this rose. So I think I need a little bit coming out up here along the top also. Put that into the water. Okay, so there we have our winter white design using garden roses, cabbage, and white spray carnations, along with a little bit of eucalyptus.